So hi and welcome all to this exciting Fireside Chat. I'm Sneha Hengorani and I'm very thrilled to be hosting this interesting talk with one of the most inspirational women and amazing leader and a role model to many across the globe. So we are here to have a Fireside Chat with Diane. So a quick introduction to Diane. Diane comes with 20 plus years of extensive experience in technology, digital and cultural transformation. Apart from being a technology executive, she is a board member and a strategic advisor to multiple organizations. She is also part of NPower and T200, which are two non-profit organizations working towards the goal of diversity and inclusion. So we are all here glad and excited to hear from Diane today on the topic of women in tech, diversity and inclusion. So, to start with, recent study about one of from PwC around the women in tech says that around only 3% of the women at the beginning of their career thought that they will land up into technology. So how did you land up into technology? Was it natural? Was it always your thoughts since childhood, or it just happened?
So it was natural and unnatural. I've always been a problem solver and very curious. And so my father would buy me electronics kits back in the day, and so I would put some of those things together. So he fueled that, and my father practiced dentistry, so this was free child labor, but on the weekends I would go in and help him in his lab and be able to experiment with things like that. So I loved it, but I was very involved in high school in a program called Junior Achievement, and that was about the business. And I learned about sales and leadership and running a company, and I really fell more in love with business than technology. In college, so I majored in mechanical engineering, again, mostly thanks to Dad, who said he would only pay for my tuition if I got a science or tech degree. So, so I did, but I didn't enjoy being just an engineer. Mm-hmm. So I went straight into business roles, but I was always solving the technology problems. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I was shadow IT. And at one point, a few years into my career, one of my supervisors and mentors said, with your next career shift, just move into IT. So I did. I was almost 10 years into my career when I moved full-time into IT. I have sometimes gone back out, like in program management and things like that, but still always doing technology stuff. So I gravitated towards it more than designed it. But I don't think of myself as a technologist first. I think of myself as a business person first and technologist second.
Yeah, so business first and technology second is the thought. Okay.
That's right.
You said, you told us about how your journey, your motivation from your father, and then the push overall took you towards IT. But now you are a CIO. So what earlier career choices led you here?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have roles in multiple functions. So, as I said, I was in shadow IT, but I worked in finance, I worked in sales operations, I worked in Six Sigma. And so that really added to my knowledge of the business and my resilience. I kept coming back to IT.
Yeah.
But even in IT, I was a business partner, infrastructure leader, and took different roles, but then I would go back to, it was the business engagement, business partnering role that I enjoyed the most. And of course, I think that's the ultimate description of what a CIO is business partner to the CEO and everyone else. But when you get that 360-degree view of a function or the business, it just solidifies everything that you do, and I think makes you overall a more valuable employee.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question, which I
Yes,
have now
yes.
forgotten what it was, so,
Yes,
okay.
yes. No, we got that you should have a strong foundation across
Yes.
multi-functions, which gives you a lot of knowledge around each of the areas, and that gives you a 360-degree view. And that's how, you can progress in your career, and when you are at that decision-making level, you can make
Yeah.
better decisions across because you've
Right.
already done that, been there.
Can I add on to this though?
Yes, yes,
So I so often when I talk to, and it's not just women, when you say, what do you want to do? The answer is often, I just want a role where I can add value and be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Great. That's really hard for me as a mentor, manager, ally to help you plot your career path. And it's so much more helpful if you can be specific and say, I would like to lead a product line, or I would like to run an operations, or I would like to and provide some choices. That's it, by adding value in something that fulfills me. So let's not be too generic. Sometimes be a little specific with what you want.
So also, then we see that a lot of women is joining our workforce, okay? But then at a young trainee level. But as we go up the pyramid, we see that the number drops, the ratio drops. So why do you think that is happening, and what can we do to see more talent, more women in the top positions?
Yeah. I wish we could fix overall society because a lot of times it's family pressures,
Yeah.
spouse pressures, raising a family, and for us to be able to provide the support and say, hey, it's okay if you need to be able to work part-time for a few years as your family goes through this transition, or to say, well, let's focus on you being an architect or an engineer for a while because it's hard to do people leadership part-time, right? So sometimes we have to be creative about the roles that we create or put women into, because our lives aren't linear, our careers aren't linear, and for us to recognize that sometimes we need alternatives. So in the US, we have a regulation called the Family Medical Leave Act. So if you need to take time off to care for an aging parent, we as an employer are required to offer that, and you still can come back to a job. So I think offering things like that can help just alleviate when you have those pinch points.
Yeah.
I would encourage us to not leave the workforce, because it's so hard to re-enter. We can talk about how that is, but if you can stay in, and maybe you need to go slower in your career for a little while, it's easier. So in my own career, there was a time I was leading a program for Honeywell. We're doing an SAP implementation. It was a massive opportunity for me, but I was away from home. And I needed something where I could not travel full time. And as before we had the video technologies and you could work remotely. And so I chose to take a different role. I think I even took a salary cut to do that in a smaller company. The sacrifice that I needed to make from my family to do that. And it's okay for us to make those choices. And so to be open and to talk about the fact that making a family or self-first choice, it's not always about the employer, but for us to support each other in those choices.
So also just wanted to talk about NPower and T200. So you are on the board of NPower, and you have been on that mission of training people and giving them that skill set so that they can be employed. So how do you think that, and how do you see that the people's life are changing with that initiative?
Yeah, so NPower focuses on 3 demographics. U.S. military veterans, underserved youth, and now focuses on women of color. And it's primarily a U.S. based organization. They have some Canada operations.
Okay.
And it truly is life-changing because so many of the students were either in a minimum wage job or not even that. No alternatives for education, no family support system to pull themselves up. And after being provided some technology training, even if they're starting in a service desk role, it gets an entry into a significantly higher salary or wage than what they had before. And you know, I'll call it the American dream, right? Once you get on the first step, then it's up to you. All of the other steps present themselves. So we just have amazing stories of folks who were once homeless, who now have thriving careers in technology and can pull others through. So it's wonderful to do from a give back perspective, but I also look at it as a requirement for us to find out how we can do more of that. I was at a foundation in Delhi this week. Sorry, I had to think of where I was. I've been in too many cities in too many days. And it was focusing on the children who can't go to school, right? And I can't even imagine a child who doesn't know, and some of these were 10, 12-year-old children that don't know their alphabets and don't know counting because they have a family situation where they can't go to school. How can we tap into those capabilities? They have the same human potential that we do, but they need that step up. But here's why. Digital has exploded and is exploding. Even before we looked at how digital is changing the landscape of business, we knew we had a STEM gap, right? It's not just women. We don't have enough engineers and computer scientists coming out of school to fill all of the digital transformation that's going on. So we need to be creative, whether it's through NPower or the CSR foundations that are here. Like, where can I find every ounce of human potential that we can focus into digital careers?
And does NPower focus only on digital careers, or is it also focusing on some other areas?
It's really just IT. Okay. So it's a fairly narrow focus because it's you have to have a mission.
Yeah, that's what you said previously. That you should find your niche.
That's
and
right.
Go towards that.
Yeah.
So also you are you're a founding member of T200, T200, and that's about women in tech, and you are mentoring, guiding the next gen executives. So all the women here were actually excited to know what's the criteria to become a member, because that's an invite only membership, right?
Okay, so T200 are the most powerful, cool women in the world, all right? So you have to be the top technologist in your company, whether it's CIO or CTO. So of a global organization, so it has to be of scale.
Yeah.
And we have an organization for, say, business unit CIOs or other leaders that we call lift, to lift others up. Yeah. But yes, T200 started with 5 or 6 of us that we were all in Dallas at the time, said we need to support each other.
Yeah.
We were all leading organizations of scale. We were multi-billion-dollar companies. Yeah. So just like we're all in this room, we need to support each other socially, selecting our suppliers, managing technology. Yeah. Why are we just not talking about that? The guys are doing it kind of naturally, out on the golf course or the shooting range or whatever. Let's create our own. Yeah. So we basically have our own private social media channel, which is our primary interaction. But how you get in, you have to be nominated, and you have to be seconded by a member, and you have to lead one of the top organizations in the world. But it's pretty darn cool.
So in fact, that's what as you said, that women should also think of bonding that way and also, helping each other to grow because
Yes.
as you rightly said, that man clubs naturally exist. So we have to give that extra push here.
Yeah.
So any last piece of advice then for everyone here? For the women in tech?
Focus on yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. The other is, do what makes you happy, because you're probably going to be great at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can't do everything.
Correct.
We can't make everyone else happy.
Yeah.
But if we can make ourselves happy, we're probably going to be really awesome at what we're doing.
Yeah. And in today's world, it's so much to do, so it's better to do what makes you happy.
Yes.
Yeah. And today, really, you made us happy by being here. So thanks a lot for giving us time today and for this interaction. I'm sure everyone got inspired by the story here, and we are looking forward that we can have more such sessions and events with you. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah.